ladies and mostly gentlemen. Today, we're going to talk about flying. Yes, flying in Battle for Azeroth. We finally know how we're going to fly in Battle for Azeroth. So if you didn't know, in Legion and in Warlords of Draenor, the way that you learn how to fly was through achievements called Pathfinder. And in Legion, this Pathfinder had two parts, and in Battle for Azeroth, it's exactly the same. So in this video, we're basically going to go over the entire process of unlocking flying in Battle for Azeroth. Now, obviously, the second part of Pathfinder won't be active until patch 8.2, but it's always good to know what's coming and how it's going to be done. So Pathfinder Part 1 can be done right now in-game. You can log into WoW right now and complete Pathfinder Part 1. Most of you probably already have, but if you haven't, this is how it's done. This is a meta achievement which has 5 requirements, fairly similar to the Legion one. The first one is Battle for Azeroth Explorer, and you have to explore all the new zones for both factions. Pretty damn easy. The next one is Wide World of Quests, and now for this, you have to complete 100 of those really fun and riveting world quests. Yes, 100 world quests, but if you have been playing the game since launch, you've probably already done that. Next is the War Campaign. Now this is for the Alliance or Horde. You don't have to do both. So if you main Alliance, you do the Alliance one. If you main Horde, you do the Horde one. This doesn't include the Tides of Vengeance stuff. This is literally just the bits that were in 8.0, but you can do those extra bits of the War Campaign if you really want to. A lot of this is gated by reputations with the Honorbound and the 7th Legion, so you got to make sure those are quite high to complete the entire War Campaign. Next is Azerothian Diplomat. Now for the Alliance, this is the Proudmoore Admiralty, the Storm's Wake, and Order of the Embers, as well as the Champions of Azeroth and the Tortolan Seekers, and you need to get all of those reputations to Revered. For the Horde, it's the Zandalari Empire, Talanji's Expedition, and the Voldenai, as well as the Champions of Azeroth and the Tortolan Seekers, to Revered as well. It's a lot of reputations, but with world quests and doing all the quests in those zones anyway, you'll probably get it quite quickly. And finally, you have to complete the zone storylines. Now for the Alliance, this is the Lawmaster of Kul Tiras, which is completing all 3 zones, and for the Horde, it's Zandalar Forever, which again is completing the 3 zones for the Horde. Now once that's unlocked on one character, that is unlocked across your entire account, so you don't need to do it on multiple characters, luckily. So now, what happens next? So in patch 8.2, we're obviously getting a ton of content, and as I said, one of those is flying, and I for one am pretty damn sick of running around Kul Tiras and Zandalar, and they did announce that Mechagon and Nazjatar will have flying enabled, so you'll be able to fly in those zones as well, so Pathfinder Part 2 will be very integral to the content of patch 8.2. So recently there was a creator summit over in Irvine. A ton of creators went out there and tested out 8.2, and obviously they came back with a bit of information on Pathfinder Part 2. Now this is subject to change. The original Legion Pathfinder did change during development, but this is where it's at right now, so yeah, I think it's probably going to stay like this, to be honest. So obviously the first requirement of Pathfinder Part 2 is Pathfinder Part 1, so everything I just said. The next part would be the new reputations. So the Rustbolt Resistance is a Alliance and Horde faction of Mechagon. You obviously have to get that to Revered, which shouldn't be too hard once doing all the questing and all the little bits and pieces around there. And next are the reputations of Nazjatar. So for the Alliance, it's the Anna Cohen, which I believe are these Murloc looking things. Looks really cool, like a Murloc samurai. And for the Horde, it's a group called the Unshackled. So you just need the Rustbolt Resistance and then your faction's Nazjatar rep. So that's only 2 reps. Next up, I would imagine, and this is according to Wowhead and their theorizing, you'll have to explore Mechagon and Nazjatar, which doesn't seem too hard at all. And that's pretty much it. At least that's what they speculate. Obviously there could be extra bits to do, like maybe extra war campaign, or maybe do the questing in Mechagon or Nazjatar, but again, we won't know till it's fully out, because as I said, they did change the Legion one quite a few times, but honestly, I would imagine they're probably just going to go with the reputations and the exploration. So the reward for completing Pathfinder Part 2 is obviously flight, but it's also the mechanical parrot mount. Now you've probably seen this mount before because it was added to the game in 8.1. It's a really cool looking mount, and I know a lot of people want parrot mounts in Battle for Azeroth, but they're obviously quite hard to get, so this will finally be one which is actually easily obtainable by players, and it actually has a little pet which goes along with it, which you can go and get now, called Feathers. So yeah, there is your reward for completing Pathfinder Part 2. And that's pretty much it, guys. That is the complete guide as of right now for Pathfinder Part 1 and Pathfinder Part 2. Let me know down below what you think of the requirements for Pathfinder Part 2. As I said, it's just the new reputations and exploring the new zones, which sounds pretty damn easy, as it's easy to get rep these days through world quests and various other means. So before I go, I'd like to give a massive shout out to amazing patrons, YouTube channel members, and Twitch subs. You guys are awesome, and if you want to support the channel in any of those ways, links are down below. So leave a like on this video, guys, if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't. We've also got a partner to channel with over 3,000 members and a merch store over on Streamlabs, and I'm also now streaming on twitch.tv/MrGM if you want to check me out on stream. We're going to be streaming the patch 8.2 PTR every single day, jumping in there into Mechagon, into Nazjatar, flying around and doing everything that we possibly can. So if you want to see any of that on stream, twitch.tv/MrGM. And with that, guys, I'll see you next time.